Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading the second verse, correct. It was the one that I looked up. And Lord Rishabhadev's teachings, continuing on from the characteristics of Lord Rishabhadev. Mahatsevam dvaram mahur vimukte Tamodvaram yoshitam shangi shangam Mahantaste samachitta prashanta Vimanyava suridasadavodye Mahatsevam dvaram mahur vimukte Tamodvaram yoshitam sangi sangam Mahantaste samachita prashanta Vimanyava suridasadavodye. Samachita prasanta Vimanyava suridasadavodye Mahatsevam varamahur vimukte Tamodvaram yoshitam shangi shangam Mahantaste samachita prasanta Vimanyava suridasadavodye. Mahatsevam dvaram mahur vimukte Tamodvaram yoshitam shangi shangam Mahatsevam dvaram mahur vimukte Shangi shangam Mahantaste samachita prasanta Vimanyava suridasadavodye Mahatsevam dvaram mahur vimukte Tamodvaram yoshitam shangi shangam Vimanyava suridasadavodye. Ladies. Tamodvaram yoshita shangi shangam Vimanyava suridasadavodye. That's it. Tamodvaram yoshitam shangi shangam Ahamtaste samachita prashanta Mahat Sevam, service to the spiritually advanced persons, called Mahatmas. Dvaram, the way. Ahu, they say. Vimukte, of liberation. Tamadvaram, the way to the dungeon of a dark, hellish condition of life. Yoshitam, of women. Sangi, of associates. Sangam, association. Mahanta, highly advanced in spiritual understanding. Te, they. Samachitta, persons who see everyone in a spiritual identity. Prashanta, very peaceful, situated in Brahman or Bhagavan. Vimanyava, without anger. In parentheses, one must distribute Krishna consciousness to persons who are hostile without becoming angry at them. Surida, well-wishers of everyone. Sadhava, qualified devotees without abominable behavior. De, they who. Translation. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equiposed. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We have time. Let's repeat. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equiposed. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The human body is like a junction. One may either take the path of liberation or the path leading to a hellish condition. How one can take these paths is described herein. On the path of liberation, one associates with Mahatmas and on the path of bondage, one associates with those attached to sense gratification and women. There are two types of Mahatmas, the impersonalist and the devotee. Personalist and the devotee. Although their ultimate goal is different, the process of emancipation is almost the same. Both want eternal happiness. One seeks happiness in impersonal Brahman, and the other seeks happiness in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As described in the first verse, Brahma Sokyam. Brahman means spiritual or eternal. Both the impersonalists and the devotee seek eternal blissful life. In any case, it is advised that one become perfect. In the words of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 2287, Asat Sangatyage Vaishnavachar, Stri Sangi, Eka Ashadhu, Krishna Bhakta Ar. To remain unattached to the modes of material nature, one should avoid associating with those who are asat, materialistic. There are two kinds of materialists. One is attached to women and sense gratification, and the other is simply a non-devotee. On the positive side is association with Mahatmas, and on the negative side is the avoidance of non-devotees and women hunters. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. In the previous verse, Sudyat Yasya Brahma Sokyam Tvanantam, the topic was brought up that Brahma Sokyam. If someone wants Brahma Sokya, then, and His Holiness Bhakti Vaibhav Maharaj elaborated yesterday on what one should do. One should avoid all of the pitfalls of sense gratification that are available to the non-humans. Human life is not meant for that. Human life is meant for Brahma Sokyam. So Brahma has two features. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan. So one is personal and one is impersonal. And that's why in the translation here of Mahat, then Srila Prabhupada translates that highly advanced spiritual personalities, I don't know, at least about you, but when I first read this, which was a long time ago, when the 5th canto came out, and read personalities are impersonalists and devotees, this wasn't generally Srila Prabhupada's tone. But it's consistent, it's contextual with what was in the previous verse, and Brahma Sokyam. There are two types of Brahma Sokya, they're not equal. There's the Brahma Sokya of the Brahmavadis, and then there's the Brahma Sokya of the Vaishnavas. Of course, that of Vaishnavas is millions and millions of times superior, but still, for Gyanis who Jnana Prayasam Udapasyanamanta Eva, who somehow or another have this attraction to the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord, still Krishna encourages them. They receive encouragement in Bhagavad Gita, they receive encouragement in Srimad Bhagavatam, ultimately better being on spiritual path than no spiritual path. So Mahat Dwara, here Srila Prabhupada translates the word Dwara as path, or it can also be translated as gate. If you go up the Ganges, then you go towards Haridwar. Haridwar is, well, really at the foothills, just even before. Rishikesh is in the foothills. There you can see some hills. And Haridwar is before that, downstream. So Haridwar can mean two things. If you're looking upstream, then it can mean Haridwar. It can mean the gate that leads to Hara, leads to Lord Shiva. And if you're looking downstream, then Haridwar is the gate that leads to Hari. You're looking towards Vrindavan. So same thing here. Mahat Seva Dwara. Srila Prabhupada starts off with this very visual and graphic, poignant statement. The human body is just like a junction. So you can look this way. If you look this way, the path of Joshita Sangi Sangam, then you're looking towards hell. If you're looking this way, Mahat Sevam, then you're looking towards liberation. And it's up to us. The gate is one thing. Where it leads you, that's up to you. Which path you take. The path goes through the gate. You go this way, you go this way. Tate shashi tata kuru. That's our business, which direction we want to go. So Mahat Sevam. And here, Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear. Highly advanced spiritual personalities. Again, very, very kind towards the impersonalist, highly advanced. And in one perspective, they may be highly advanced. Here, there are different characteristics. They don't see difference between one living entity and another. How is it that a impersonalist doesn't see? He may see the soul. What about a Vaishnava? Vidyavanya Sampani, Brahvrigava Hastani, Sunichaiva, Supakicha, Pandita. He sees soul, and the Vaishnava, he sees the soul, and he also sees the super soul. Ultimately, he sees Krishna actually in everyone's heart. When Krishna is concluding his instructions to Uddhava in the 11th canto, in the last chapter, which is called Bhakti Yoga, then half that chapter is really devoted to bringing these impersonalist jnanis to the path of devotional service. And he says, the essence of all of my instructions to them, the jnanis, is that if you see me in everyone, just like Krishna says, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, Sarvam Chamai Pashyati. If you see me everywhere, and you see me in everything, then you'll never be lost. And I'll never be lost to you. And ultimately, that person will come to become a devotee. And that's the real purpose of someone cultivating this impersonal path, is that somehow or another they become a devotee. How? Mahat Sevam. They also come to Mahat. The impersonalist Mahat, ultimately he has to come to a Vaishnava Mahat. He has to come to the association of a Vaishnava. And by the grace of a Vaishnava, then he can also become a Vaishnava. So they have these particular qualities, Mahat Sevam, very highly advanced personalities. They don't see difference between one living entity and another. They're very peaceful. They're fully engaged in devotional service. Now, impersonalists are generally not what you would call engaged in devotional service, although Srila Prabhupada translates like that. But they do some type of devotion. They may worship different deities. They worship different deities in not what you would really call pure bhakti. At best you could call it Jnana Mishra Bhakti, in which the bhakti is the laghu, the bhakti is in the minority, and the majority of the emphasis is their gyan. But still they worship deities. They may perform archana, meditation on some personal feature as a means to an impersonal end. They're devoid of anger. They work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Now, all of these characteristics are external. These are things that are visible, things that one can actually see. How does one actually really determine what a Mahatma is, a qualified, spiritually advanced personality? Because what's going on within someone's heart is very subjective. How advanced is anyone? How do you know? Maharaj Rishabdev, who knew? Bharat and his sons, they may have known, some other exalted persons. But we see that for many of the people, as in the case with Sukadeva Goswami, they took very unorthodox external behavior as being symptomatic of the fact that here's a madman. And therefore they committed all kinds of offenses and behaved in a very, very abominable way. On the other hand, and that we all know, abominable behavior doesn't mean that someone's spiritually advanced. Isn't it sometimes devotees make this mistake? Here's someone who's unkept and dirty and doesn't keep his things in order and is very disorganized in his conduct and behavior, and say, oh, he's an avadhuta. You have to be careful who you call an avadhuta. That's a very, very rare caliber to call someone avadhuta. Lord Nityananda we call an avadhuta. We call Shukadeva Goswami can be called an avadhuta. But not just everyone. Otherwise, everyone in the world, practically speaking, is an avadhuta. So no, but Jai Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar ki Jai, Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. But there should be, and we should go by the general norm, not the very, very rare exceptional case. And therefore, these external characteristics should be very much visible. And when they are visible, then there's a good chance that we're talking about someone who's very spiritually advanced. It's not a guarantee. Even Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, someone may be very proficient in chanting Hare Krishna, and yet at the same time, he may not have bhava, he may not have real attachment to the holy name. As we see sometimes, there are those who are professional chanters who may be chanting Hare Krishna all their lives, and still, Srila Prabhupada says, they may be tinged with Mayavad misconceptions, they may be very material motivated, this is their livelihood. In other words, it's a business. Chanting Hare Krishna is a business. So they're very good in kirtan, and then in this particular quote, Thakur Bhaktivinoda was referring actually to japa. Similarly, someone may be very good in chanting japa, and yet still it's not there. So it's never a black and white thing. But still, one gets a good idea of what it means to be a real Mahatmanastamam Paita, Daivi Prakriti Ashrita. Srila Prabhupada on several occasions, he was very fond of translating this Daivi Prakriti Ashrita of someone who has actually taken shelter of the internal potency, which is Daivi Prakriti means, is someone who has taken shelter of Srimati Radharani. This verse is also quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. But when Srila Prabhupada translates it there he translates it exclusively in a devotional way. There's no mention of impersonalists. Mahatmas are not translated there as impersonalists. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's context is also not in terms of those who are trying to become elevated, to enter, to get this Brahma Sokyam, or impersonal liberation. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining the essence of this verse, Mahat Seva, the service to Vaishnavas, that more or less for those who want to advance in spiritual life, then the essence of that advancement is to be able to associate with advanced devotees. We need to find out, search out what advanced devotees are. Here some symptoms are given. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gives symptoms. He gives two sets of symptoms. One of them, and he's quoting first from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami's description of what is the adhikar, or what is the qualification of Vaishnavas. Kanishta adhikar, Madhyam adhikar, and Uttam adhikar. What is the qualification of Vaishnavas? And then he quotes from 11th canto as to what is the actual level of internal attainment of Vaishnavas. And again it becomes Madhyam, Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, didn't make great emphasis or distinction between the two. Generally, Prabhupada, when he preached, when he wrote, he used this word, adhikari, to denote both. Here was the one place where Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, points out that one is the qualification for devotion, and the other one is the attainment of devotion. So you may have a qualification for a certain level of devotional service. In other words, when you are an Uttam adhikari, that means you have the highest qualification for pure devotional service. And what is the highest qualification? That you have very deep faith and you have very vast learning. And if you have these two things, then you have the highest qualification, you have the best chances for real advancement in spiritual life. And Rupa Goswami then says such a person can actually liberate the whole world. In other words, he's already advanced. You can't become advanced without attaining these things. And then so faith and knowledge. The extent of faith and knowledge become the measure of one's qualification for devotion. So we can understand why Srila Prabhupada placed so much emphasis on studying his books. Why Prabhupada placed so much emphasis on writing these books. Prabhupada didn't write these books simply because it was an order from his spiritual master. It was an order for his spiritual master, but why? Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and what he says in the Bhagavad Gita, I just forget. Bahavo jnana tapasa putramad bhavam agata. According to Bahavo jnanam, according to the level of jnana that you will have, putramad bhavam, to that degree you will develop attachment to me. So knowledge of Krishna is very important for us to become attached to Krishna. Otherwise our attachment, it may be there, but it will be shallow. And you may look through this side of the gate, and you may see how nice Krishna consciousness is, but it may be very easy to turn around and tamodvaram joshita sangha sangam, and you may then turn around and look in the other direction. And Prabhupada said, if I have one complaint, Prabhupada didn't generally complain about his disciples. When Srila Prabhupada was building Juhu, and before he started construction, when he got the land, even before he got the deed, he moved the deities on, he moved the devotees on, and devotees were living in extremely austere conditions. And maybe you've heard these series of walks that Srila Prabhupada had with this Dr. Patel, who was sometimes an extremely obnoxious person, challenging Srila Prabhupada. And one time he would say, why your disciples, they don't take care of themselves, they're living with this mosquito-infested land, and they're full of mosquito bites and everything. And Prabhupada said, what do you know? They are already liberated. They don't care for these things. They're not concerned about mosquitoes. So Prabhupada would be very, very protective of devotees from any criticism. Because in one sense they were doing something that was very, very essential. They were spreading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And another thing which they were very essential, which even some of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers or other members of Gaudiya Math recognized, is that you ISKCON devotees, you have very, very high level of Guru Nishtha, faith in Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada said, but if I have a complaint, it's that my followers don't study my books. Because otherwise, Bhavo Jnana Tapasa Putramad Bhavam Agata, how will there really be bhava? Or at least how will the qualification, not automatically, but as Rupa Goswami says, yes, you need to have knowledge, and that will qualify one to actually have that type of bhava. Which then, in Bhagavatam, the qualification of first-class devotee is, someone help me, Sarva Bhuteshu Yapashat Bhagavat Bhavam Atmanaha. Very similar to Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. Krishna says, Sarva Bhuteshu Yapashat. Yes, he's seeing always all living entities, and he's seeing who in all living entities? He's seeing Krishna. He's seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he treats them as such. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Sanatana Goswami, and he emphasizes how important it is to associate with Vaishnava, he also points out what are the qualifications of Vaishnava, both the qualification in terms of adhikar, both the qualification in terms of internal attainment, and then he also quotes this verse, and how important it is to actually get the association of Mahat. And Seva. Mahat Seva. So what does Seva mean? Seva means service. So Seva, how do we serve great personalities? Both by Vani and by Vapu. Vapu means that we render direct service to them. Satchidananda Prabhu, you're walking. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. It's out of hospital, deathly condition. Hare Krishna. Yes, Vani and Vapu. So there's Vani, there's the instruction. General instructions, there are specific instructions. Sometimes devotees receive specific instructions from Mahat. Here Mahat means it can be Guru, it can be some great personality. It doesn't necessarily have to be one's Diksha Guru. And one should recognize that so many Vaishnavas play an important role in one's spiritual life. General instructions such as chanting Hare Krishna, chanting 60 rounds, following regulative principles, and specific instructions. You do this, you do that, you go here, you take up this particular service. And then Vapu. Although of the two types of Seva, Vani Seva and Vapu, Vani Seva is more important. More important in the sense that you can always do it. Srila Prabhupada was here with us for 12 years. Some devotees were very fortunate to be able to massage Srila Prabhupada, cook for Srila Prabhupada, sit with Srila Prabhupada, render menial service, clean Srila Prabhupada's rooms, and have such extraordinarily touching interaction with Srila Prabhupada, for which many devotees write their either remembrances or Srila Prabhupada's biography. But Srila Prabhupada's Vapu is no longer physically present, is no longer present with us, but his Vani is. And that Vani will continue. Founder Acharya means that this person's Vani is the template and the constitution of the Krishna consciousness movement for the next 10,000 years. Let's hope Krishna consciousness movement and 10,000 years are synonymous. And that Srila Prabhupada's instructions, Vani, will be guiding. So that Vani is always there. And in the 4th canto, Prabhupada says this very wonderful thing, this very extraordinary thing, that by the Vani, one can come to see face to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His associates. In other words, by strictly following the Vani, one actually has access to Vapu in a very transcendental sense, in a very transcendental way. And Prabhupada expressed that. He says, I always feel that my spiritual master is right by my side. It's a phrase. What does it actually mean? Prabhupada knows what it meant, but we can meditate on that. Is this simply just some kind of feeling that Prabhupada was expressing, or that when someone is really dedicated to the Vani of a great personality, one has the association of that great personality? Not just Srila Prabhupada. We are Rupanugas. Rupa Goswami's physical presence was, say, 500 years ago, more or less. But still, we're Rupanugas. So what does it mean? It means you're a follower of Rupa Goswami. It means that we have access to Rupa Goswami's Vapu as well, through his Vani. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Stapitam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam, Dadati Swa, Padantikam. And what did Rupa Goswami do? He gave us Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's seva by establishing the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So actually the two things are interconnected. You can't separate the two. For someone who really follows Vani, then they will have Vapu. But we should recognize that Vapu also means that it gives us a real opportunity to assimilate the Vani from really close up. There is extraordinary potency, just one comes to mind. And now here, yes, one interesting thing, Mahat, is the principle, Mahat Seva. Because very often, of course, we're talking about rendering service to Vaishnavas. But here the principle is also rendering service to non-Vaishnavas, rendering service to impersonalists. So the whole principle of being a servant, of being submissive, of giving oneself to a superior authority, and learning paripatena, pariprashnena, learning how to actually be submissive, obedient, and then everything that comes along with that. Learn the principles of austerity and simplicity, and everything else that one will learn from a superior authority, a highly spiritually advanced authority is very important. So it's not just what the criteria or the qualification of a neophyte Vaishnav is. Nata chane subhakteshu sabhakta prakrita smrita. What is this prakrita bhakta? What is a neophyte? The characteristic of a neophyte is that he actually does not know how to relate to other Vaishnavas. I can relate to my guru, I can relate to my Diksha guru, and I'll follow what he says, maybe, selectively. But other people, natachaneshu bhakteshu, I cannot recognize other advanced personalities. I don't know how to serve them. I don't know how to serve other Vaishnavas, other Mahat. So here, when Srila Prabhupada is elaborating on this principle of that the Mahat may be both a impersonalist as well as a Vaishnav, then the principle of learning what Krishna says, yes, tadvidhi, paripratena, pariprashnena, sevaya, upadikshanti, te jnana, jnaninas, tattvadarshana, and then the next verse he says, yes, and what will you learn? You'll learn that same thing, yad gatvana punar moham, evam yashashipanu, you'll see me in everything, you'll understand that I am that which pervades all things. And this service attitude is something that is such an important thing, because what does it mean to be a servant if one doesn't know how to do service? Mahat Seva. It's not just in words. Gopi Bharata Padakamayo Das Das Anudas. It is not a philosophical concept. So service, and Srila Prabhupada used this phrase, service attitude. And Prabhupada also said, yes, there are the first-class servants, and the second-class servants, and the third-class servant. First-class servant, and I think you mentioned then in fourth class. First class is, Mahat doesn't even have to say anything. You know what it is that my master wants, what it is that I should be doing to a great personality. And then, when that personality, the second class, he tells me what to do, immediately, voluntarily, with a happy heart, I do that. And the third class, I do it grudgingly, and the fourth class, I don't do it at all, or I try to get out of doing it, and I minimize. So service attitude, and these things are there. And when we recognize what a rare thing it is to actually have this opportunity, because Krishna says that even to be a Vaishnava, that's a very rare thing, isn't it? So once again in the Bhagavad Gita, then Krishna says that out of many hundreds, this is old age. It'll happen to you. Manusyam sahasreshu kasyid yatati siddhare yatatam avsiddhanam kasyid mam beti tatvata. So very rare. Even spiritual seekers are very rare. What to speak of such advanced personalities. So when we have the opportunity to render service to Vaishnavas, then we should take it, whoever those Vaishnavas are. They may be Guru, they may not be Guru. If one has that opportunity, then one should do that, and one should show. It is pleasing to the heart, and ultimately it's pleasing to Krishna. Because Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra, Krishna will only accept Vaishnavas who are truly humble. And a truly humble Vaishnava, Sunichaiva Svapakecha Pandita Samadarshana. He has this Samadarshan. He sees, yes, Krishna is present everywhere in everything, so he deals with all persons as if they were Krishna. In context, of course. Different way that you deal with the Krishna lion as you do with the Krishna cow, but still you see that Krishna is there and you offer due respect, appropriate respect. And that humility is something that gives one, is the adhikar, as we were talking about qualification. It gives us the ability to actually cultivate this bhava. There will be no bhava, there will be no love unless there's humility. And Sanatana Swami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he very beautifully elaborates on how these two things are synonymous. Actually, humility and prema. That the more one becomes humble, the more one prema grows, the more one has prema, the more one becomes humble. They're like water and liquidity. You can't separate the two things. And for this reason, Trinada Pisunichena, Tarori Vasahishnuna, Amanena, Manadina, Kirtaniya Shadahari. Real kirtan and real seva one can do when one cultivates this very humble attitude, which can really be cultivated by the service of such great personalities. So of course